14th chapter. A few verses there. Do not let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God. Trust also in me. Jesus says to his disciples, in my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, I would have told you. I'm going there to prepare a place for you. And if I go and prepare a place for you, I will come back and take you to be with me, that you also may be where I am. And listen, Jesus says, you know the way, the place where I am going. Second Timothy, 4th chapter, a couple of verses there, 7 and 8. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Now there is in store for me the crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will award to me on that day. And not only me, but also to all who have longed for his appearing. This is the word of God for us, the people of God. Thanks be to God. I must have been one of those persons that was okaying Margaret's book. The first thing she gave to me when I came to her home was peaches. I know that I was okay in her book because someone told me that if Margaret gave you peaches, then you were all right. And it had been a while since I had eaten peaches, and I want to tell you all this now, and Doug already knows this, and Stephanie and perhaps some of the others of you know, that I ate those peaches on the way home. And my wife, in no uncertain terms, asked me why I was doing that. I said, well, I've started, I might as well finish. And they were very good. But you know, Margaret had a way about her. What a way that was so magnetic, if you know what I mean. I know all of you that know her know that she had magnetism. She drew people to her. And you may be wondering how these two texts go together. Jesus tells his disciples, I'm going to prepare a place for you now. He says, now, I'm coming back for you. He said, but now listen to this. You know the way. Margaret knew the way. It was Margaret's way. No one had to teach it to her. I want to say, invented it from the heart of Christ. That was a part of who she is, not who she was. Margaret, also, we think of her in terms of her fighting. She did fight the good fight. But there was something that was so special about Margaret in her fighting. She was an advocate for other people. She didn't just fight for Margaret. She fought for everybody. She was always concerned about how we were. When the preacher would come to visit and his tie was crooked, she'd straighten it out to make sure that we were okay. Even in some of those trying moments in the hospital, when she couldn't talk, she couldn't say a word, she wanted to know if we, can you imagine that? If we were okay. All of us, her family, immediate, her extended family, and yes, she wanted to know about her Grace family, her Grace Church, in which she was so involved. I remember Margaret calling me from time to time. As a matter of fact, quite a few times. She was such an advocate for people that she wanted to make sure that they got the proper pastoral care. And most pastors may find that to be a bit indifferent. But not for me, because when Margaret called you, there was something about the way she informed you about someone. You were just ready to get out of your seat and go take care of that person. That's the way Margaret was. A very good and strong advocate for all of us. Margaret's way is that way that Jesus is talking about in this text. She knew the way. She knew how to treat people. She knew how to love her husband of 60 years. She knew how to raise her children and love them and teach them love. You know, there's something about that statement that we have to be careful with when we say that we teach people love. Margaret showed enough love that you couldn't help but learn it. It was a part of who she was, part of her makeup, if you will. She couldn't help but pass that love on. She couldn't help but advocate for you and I and for anyone who needed help. She could not help that because God had called her to do that, and she took up that standard. Listen to that. Margaret took up that standard, and she carried it forward with tenacity and boldness. And any of us that have been beneficiaries of that, we are blessed this day. We are blessed. We lost a mother, a wife, a sister, a friend, but heaven gained an angel, a true angel. And I can just imagine this. Can you imagine Margaret telling Peter at the pearly gates to go take a break? I'll do your job for you for a moment.